Hello, welcome everybody. So glad to be here. So glad to have you with us. And we have a great guest today. I think you're going to really enjoy. Very excited about it. We have Bryan Bowden with us, and he is a specialist in the UFO field. He has UFO UAP. I forget to say UAP because that's something that started fairly recently. It used to all be UFO. But before that, I want to say you are listening to Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. Unfortunately, he is unable to be with us today due to his wife's very serious illness. And we do have a GoFundMe for her. The link is in the chat room. And I'll put the link after the show. And if you go on GoFundMe looking for that, it is actually titled Join Sharon's Fight to Beat Cancer. Her surgery's been pushed back now, so it's going to be at the end of the month instead of next week. And this is just a very serious ongoing situation. And all prayers and all donations are appreciated more than you can imagine, more than you know. And thank you for that. Father Shawn is a priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. He is an author of 2 books. I have one right next to me today. Oh, it looks backwards. Look at that. Okay. God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry, Volumes 1 and 2. This is Volume 2. His books are, each chapter is one of his cases. Very, very interesting and scary book. You can never predict what's going to happen in these books. I would say that they're the scariest books that I ever did as far as true stories. I'm Annette Munich, co-host, and I am the owner of Stellium Books, and I am his publisher. You may know Father Shawn from Eli Roth Presents A Legion of Exorcists. That was on Travel Channel and can be found now on Max and Discovery Plus. And if you would want to help Father Shawn in another way, buying his books helps him as well. And his books are available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback formats, and also through his website, ghostbegone.biz. And you can get a signed copy that way. And we also have from last fall, Help Me, I'm Haunted, which we put together a book that touches on the most common topics from people that write us messages, emails, mail, and tried to address those with the help of some of our frequent guests. They weigh in. For example, we would have a chapter on attachments. And Father Shawn writes first, I write something second, and then our guest contributor writer weighs in on it at the end. So you really do get a pretty well-rounded opinion. Of course, it is the paranormal, so none of us knows everything, but you do get a pretty good opinion on the topic and what other people have experienced, as well as in the back of the book, we do offer some help and practical information. It's a guidebook for how to manage living in a haunted home. And so we do have that, and that is also on Amazon. He may have some copies of that through his website as well. Now I'm going to bring on Bryan Bowden. I will say Bowden. He said I could say it either way. I got special permission. I could just say whatever. It's like that thing, you can call me anything, but don't call me late for dinner, I guess. Bryan Bowden. And, you know, just such an interesting person, a UFO UAP specialist. He has been around on this topic for a very long time, and I'm happy to have him. especially with the recent disclosures and everything coming out. It's a really good opinion man. Also, he has been on Travel Channel talking about zoology, cryptozoology, um, on Travel Channel, plus historian and UFO researcher and investigator at UFO Witness Season 2. And Bryan is the director at New York State UFO Project. So I would like to bring him on and welcome him now. And thank you so much for coming.
It's my pleasure to be here, Annette. I appreciate you having me back on the broadcast. Before I start, I want to send prayers, healing, recovery, and blessings out to Father Shawn, his wife, and also everybody that is watching today. We could all use those right now, but it's good to be here.
Absolutely. And thank you for saying that. And I so agree. And the world at large could use a lot of healing right now. Um,
Yes, we could use
the,
a plethora of it. So,
yes,
yeah,
we could talk about that for 3 hours and not even talk about UFO UAP. We've
right.
got a great crowd in chat room, and so happy to see you guys, Golden Cougar Wolf.
It's
That's
good to see
Nancy.
everybody there. Yeah.
Hi, Nancy. We have Linda. We have Travis is back. We have Carl.
Carl.
Everybody loves Carl. We gotta do it. He gets the Miss America wave. Hi, Carl.
Oh,
Carl is he's done a couple of shows with me recently talking on this topic as well. And Scouts. And I thank you all and welcome you all. And we love our chatters. We're gonna talk for a few minutes, and then if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and jump in. And we're so glad that you're with us today. So, Bryan,
yes.
I don't know what you're willing to say about all of the disclosure stuff. I feel like they've just opened the door to this much. It's just the very beginning. I don't know how far it will go. I don't know if they'll say everything. I'm not sure what everything even means, but it's pretty interesting. And I was hoping that they might drop some files today because they did that twice before on Fridays.
Right. So, first and foremost, I never use the word UAP. That is a narrative constructed by the people that are trying to push a narrative. There always have been and will be UFOs. UAP, it just,
Yeah,
it's
I'm glad
garbage,
you
in my opinion.
I'm
Um,
glad you said that, and I don't want to
yeah,
cut you off, but I feel like it just showed up out of nowhere. All of
because,
a sudden, people started saying UAP, and I'm like, UAP?
well,
What's that?
hold on. The
Okay.
people that are politicians and career BS artists are the ones driving that UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, but it was always unidentified flying object or unidentified submersible object, USO. We don't need a UAP or a new narrative put out there, but that's what they're trying to do. I do not believe in any part of what they are calling disclosure right now. Um, we have individuals that have come forward. 99%, with the exception of fighter pilots, 99% is hearsay. Okay. There's also an individual that is running, and part of the, whether you call it disclosure movement, Lou, who, if you know what he does for a living, and I appreciate his work and everybody else in the military to protect our country, but he is a deception agent. And if he was so forthright and coming and everything you could believe, he would not have a security clearance anymore. And yet he still has it. Now, a lot of the stuff that they're talking about in a lot of these videos, I actually saw years ago, almost a decade plus, and they were interesting, like the Nibbits, the Tic Tac, and my general feeling behind it is it's not necessarily not of this earth as much as it's a black project, and the best way to test it is against our own defenses. So I believe a lot of the stuff you're seeing, which would be, ooh, this is out of this world, is reverse engineered craft, and they are testing it against our own forces to see how well they can do against these type of vehicles. There are there's probably over 450 different species of extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, light beings, you name it. And something I did last December on my show Third Eye Live, which we broadcast Wednesdays 8 to 10 p.m. on YouTube. We had a prediction show. We had a ton of people come on the show giving their predictions, and I predicted that disclosure will happen, but from the extraterrestrials this year. You're going to see craft, the same craft, over Russia and China and the U.S. and Australia. It's going to be captured by every form of media because these extraterrestrials are done playing this game. We need to know. They know we need to know, so they're going to pull the full disclosure. But I will stand by my guard. And I said true disclosure happened in 1977 with the release of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was a global film. Dr. Hynek is in the film. He did not violate any of his NDAs or any of these laws. He just appeared. And that was true disclosure that we have been working with extraterrestrials for decades.
And it's so interesting that you bring that up because we are ready for a big release. Steven Spielberg, Disclosure Day. A lot of people talking about, is this coincidental? And it seems like I would think that it's possibly not coincidental. And then I saw a podcast where they're talking about things. Oh, by the way, before I continue,
Yes.
opinions of Bryan's opinions don't reflect the opinions of the station or Father Shawn. We
Yep.
are independent yappers here, but
Yes, I
um,
am.
they said that historically before that they have used movies and done things around movies to soften up the public.
Right.
I'm not saying that the movie was made intentionally to be an official disclosure, but kind of like, since it's coming out, let's let that soften the public up a little bit because they really think people will freak out.
You know what? There is a problem with full disclosure. Um, Basically, when the public, the seers, that the people in charge have been lying to them, and the people in control have been lying to them, be it government or religion. And so they discover that we have extraterrestrial beings from all over here. Why, there's no rules or law anymore. Why do we have to listen to you? You're full of it. So there could be some mayhem from this. You'll get people that don't believe it. It gets crazy in this world. We, as people of this planet, deserve to know if we're constantly being visited by beings that are not of this earth, or maybe future earth, or past earth, or interdimensional, or a different timeline. We have the right to know that. In general, there's so many different technologies that these beings possess that could help everybody on this planet, free energy, healing people, healthcare, having people vibrate at a higher frequency, and having all this stuff hidden or only provided to friends of friends within the political makeup it's just disgusting, in my opinion.
So, what do you think? Do you think that it's possible that there's a connection with the movie? Is this just a big coincidental timing? Do you think that we're going to be shown things in the movie that are true, or you basically don't know?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the movie, but I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some people hearing clicking sounds now, and you're going to get the psychological components of it playing out throughout. Hi, Heidi. Throughout society. So there was a lot of clicking sounds in the previews. Whatever it is. So people will start mimicking it, and then they'll hear these sounds, and they'll say, "Oh, it's aliens" or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is aliens. Um, I just find the orchestration of the event with Spielberg coming out with a big blockbuster, um, and them releasing some files. I think it's a narrative that may not be true. I think it's smoke and mirrors, and they're distracting you one way whilst other things are taking place. Um, so I don't know what's going to really happen. I don't normally go to movies. I probably will see this, and it's coming out on the 12th, I believe. So, but there's something very interesting. Um, if you go into Scott Walter's work, he's the guy that has been working with discovering the Kensington Ruin Stone and translating the stuff. He just translated the green glass with the Jesus scrolls, and it discovered in New York State. There is a date in there of 6/6/26, where they said beware of 6/6/26, and 6/6/26 is tomorrow.
No.
So we may, Scott mentioned something to the effect that he believes there may be disclosure coming. But what I fear is whoever's orchestrating this is going to try to put out what they call Project Bluebeam, which is a fake alien invasion, and it's a disguise so that they can get people together or eliminate people. And it's just not a, if you got to go look it up, it gets a little bit more intense. And because we're on public radio, I can't go into certain things with it because I don't want you guys to lose any connections with your stations. But
But
it's not a good event.
could
It's a
you
fake event.
could you repeat his name for
Scott
everybody?
Scott Walter,
Scott Walter.
Wolter, I believe.
Okay, that's
He
W.
had a, I forgot the name of his TV series, but he was he would go to these different areas throughout the country, and like he's an archaeologist, and he's been pretty he's connected the Freemasons and the Knights Templars throughout certain areas. Um, and he does a lot. If you look at what the Knights Templars became, and they actually were following the true calling and path of what Jesus would be doing, or Yeshua. Um, there's a lot of discoveries and a lot of information has been kept very, very quiet, because if you knew, and I'm not getting preachy here, by the way, but what Jesus was saying, you don't need to go to the temple or the church or this or that. Talk to your Father. It's a one. We're built with the equipment to talk to God, and the rest of it that's out there. They'll say it's to build community, but it's more about control. And I think what's coming is um, there is going to be a shift. People throughout the planet are going to vibrate at a higher frequency. They're going to start using their pineal gland, which is like a telephone to God. And they're going to realize we're getting screwed here, and we're going to take back this country, and the world, where it's for we the people, not, you know, the little bit or the one percenters or a half a percenters. So there is something coming, but I don't know if it has to do with extraterrestrials or just a total consciousness shift where we move into a higher bracket and we realize we're not doing this anymore. You're not going to traffic people. You're not going to unalive people. We're going to, treat everybody with kindness. America on earth. Thank you very much, Carl. I appreciate it. I saw it in the chat. So that was Scott's program. I'm trying to get Scott on my program. and a couple other people to discuss a little bit more about it. But that's what I think. Something's coming. But what I always say is, don't just take what's put in front of you. Do a little research on it, because your gut feeling will say, something's not right about this.
Well, that's the way everything is nowadays. And
Right.
I think it's even worse because a lot, excuse me, a lot of the people that I talk to with the advent of AI and how many images are out there and whatnot, they're very skeptical now and not knowing what to think and what could be actually AI generated and what would be. And that's a very serious state of affairs. You know,
It
it used
100%.
to be like if you had a picture of something that would be evidence in a court of law. I have a photograph of this. Now
Well,
anybody can make a picture of anything, and so I think that we're just in this huge web of confusion. We
I
don't know
think it.
what
Yeah,
to think.
it's per.
Everything is motivated by different slants, different agendas, and I think we're meant to be confused. It's on purpose.
It's the same that has been going on in this country and in the world, dividing people, religion, sex, firearms, left, right, pink, blue, green, whatever it is. You know, there is something to united we stand, divided we fall. And by throwing out, if you think AI is bad, okay, I've actually seen 8D, 8 dimensional holograms. I've seen them. And if you saw one, you would swear it's real. And this is part of the Blue Beam program to project these fake craft and an alien invasion that you would swear is real. It's right in front of you. They even have the ability to do technology where you literally can feel the shape and the form, like I'm physically touching it, but it's really not there. And this is where we're at this point. So if AI is bad, imagine what a hologram can do. And it it makes you question everything. That's why you always, like I said, if they drop this information, you should question it. A lot of people in the community, they're not. I mean, they're not as impressed as other people are with this stuff, but they're not even giving you enough.
Well, first of all, that reminds me of Star Trek: The Next Generation, where they had that
The how?
hologram. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
we
that was
have those.
of that. And then also, it was very, very freaky. I'm not seeing it around very much anymore, but they would have like Michael Jackson and different deceased performers, and
Yep.
they would look like they're on stage performing, and that was creepy. So we know that they can do things like that, and then our reality is in question. I personally have been a UFO believer my whole life. Um, I said this a little bit a couple of weeks ago. My dad was born in Dayton, and my grandma lived in Springfield, Ohio, and everybody always talked about aliens being at Wright Patterson Air Force Base. They didn't talk about it like maybe. They didn't talk about I think. They just talked about it like you talked about the grass is green. My whole
Yeah,
life, I
it's
heard about
it's
all the stuff at Wright Patterson.
I mean, that's where all the stuff went before there was Area 51. So it's still very active. Area 51 is not what it used to be. It is um it's a smoke and mirror area. There's S4, there's a whole bunch of different areas this stuff is taking place, and you can't discount a lot of the deep underground military bases around the entire continent that they've dug into the earth, and they're still operating programs which are supposedly or in public no longer existing. There's a something I did recently. I had a friend. He said the word blue Kona to me. He goes, "Do what you do." So which means go and remote view it and get information. And I did. I remote viewed Blue Kona. Besides Kona being a really, really good coffee out of Hawaii, um, it is a program with Association of ATIP and some of these other programs where they wanted to monitor extraterrestrials, both physical and in craft, around the globe. And they did not fund this program, so it was shut down. And I'm going to wink now, it was shut down in that, but
Right.
it wasn't. So when I remote viewed this location, I just remote viewed and then they took me to that spot. I am literally and I know I'm in an underground base. I'm staring at a room. It's darker. It has a rectangular door to it, rounded. And in the room, I see a gentleman wearing a dark blue suit. It wasn't black, but it wasn't navy. It was a little bit in between. And I see these serpentine desks with people working there. In the background is a wall of TV screens. And every area around this planet is being monitored for craft coming in and out. And the individual that I saw in the middle was definitely in charge. He had 3 stars on his lapel, but it was like no other military stars I've ever seen. It kind of looked like if you remember how they used to do compasses, you'd have the north, south, east, west, and longer, and then you have these little indexes for northwest, southwest there, and in the center of it, it was a hole with a dot in the middle. So I watched this. They literally caught me doing it. He turned, he looked at me, and then he said something like, "We're being watched." A yellow light started to appear, like a flashing light. So I knew I was kind of caught. And they went into a different protocol. I left that area, traveled down to another area where it was almost like a laboratory room where you big glass window, you can see into it, and part of the room on the right was a containment area, and there were a couple of scientists talking to what was an extraterrestrial in there. Um, I left there and I went to another area, which was a little bit darker. It seemed like a hangar, and I saw an extraterrestrial and humans working together. One of them looked like it was like a star head. I couldn't, other than that, it looked like they had spikes on their head coming out. Another one looked like um, it was a full body, but the head was like a bass. It was like a big fish head. And humans and these beings are working hand in hand. This is all part of Blue Kona. It is still active. They're still doing it, but it's off the radar now because when they, didn't fund it, no one's going to look for it.
Well, didn't they also supposedly stopped funding their remote viewing program? Wink, wink.
Yeah, no, they never. They don't stop any of these programs. None of these programs have stopped.
Right,
They've just gone deeper underground or into a need to know basis, and because no one's looking for them, no one would need to know it. Um, it's this goes for MK Ultra, remote viewing, psychic spies, extraterrestrials. So we have all this stuff going on. And part of me, as an American, I would, and I say this all the time, if I was the person in charge, current status of the world, I would not be revealing what we have, or if we have craft. It is not in our national security interest for the world to know what we can do.
right.
That's just what it is. If we lived in a kumbaya type of society where we had a lot more friends, then you could start revealing how powerful we are. And um, one of my buddies who passed away, um, we guesstimated, and we're pretty accurate about it, that the United States black budget, skunk works, whatever you want to call it, we are about 250 years ahead of everyone on this planet in the technology. So we're not going to give that You're not going to give your defenses away or your offenses away.
Right.
Read The Art of War, folks. You'll understand why.
And I have read that book. That is sensible.
Yes, it is.
You can learn
Um,
a lot.
you can learn a lot because you'll learn how these individuals in skunk works, deep state, whatever you want to call them, have to. It's a thought process. Unfortunately, it gets corrupted, and then you get governments within governments, and there's no real accountability, and then we have problems. Um, Something that we should be focused on is not necessarily disclosure as much as why are all these scientists being taken out or
Right.
going missing or unaliving
Right.
themselves.
Right. That
You
is
know,
very curious. And the first thing I thought about that, again, I don't know. The first thing I thought about that is the idea we have key people that could dispute things that we're about to say. And because of that, we need to sweep them under the carpet, so to speak, so that they can't come out and say that's not true or that's not the whole story or they're bending this and
right.
slanting it on a certain angle for whatever reason.
So I have a different views on this whole thing. I have a couple of buddies that asked me about it. Part of it is we're very close to doing certain things technology wise, quantum wise, seeding planets, moving from Earth to other planets. Okay. And this is proprietary information. So we may be just kind of putting them in a technical witness protection program saying, listen, um, you're going to be let go of this project and you can go on with your life. But when you're a scientist, you want to know more. It's kind of like Bob Lazar. He was happy playing with the physics, he was happy with this technology. And, but some of these scientists are like, no, I want to be at the main level here. So you make them disappear and then they move without being alive again, but they're technically alive and they're hidden away and they signed away their life saying, yeah, I won't see my kids and I won't see this and that, but I'm going to be on the forefront of this. That's one concept. There's another concept
Uh-oh, Brian's frozen. We'll give him a second and see if he gets it back. Brian, you're breaking up. Can you hear?
this and they're torturing them.
Oh,
You know, it's all suspect.
right. Yeah, and very curious and upsetting, actually. There's so many now you can't think that this is a coincidence. And there's the one girl, I'm sorry I don't remember her name, but she actually said, I'm not suicidal. People are following me, and people are, actually coming out and saying, am I allowed to say that word? I am not, feeling like I don't want to live anymore or whatever. But, when people make an
Right.
announcement like that and then
I
they
mean,
disappear.
what's um sometimes people get, hop on that train to make things more impressive. So they'll say it, but and they try to make themselves more important than they actually are. Um, but I don't know. There's a lot of weird things. It's not just 11 people that have gone missing. It's more like 24. If you count decade, like a bunch of years prior to it being known that some of these scientists are going missing, but they all have quantum mechanics involved in it, quantum travel, space travel, time, seeding of planets. They're all connected to all the same thing, and you would need that in order to go off Earth and start exploring other planets. Um, I thoroughly believe we have the technology to travel past light speed, just everything in Star Trek. We can transport you. We have stargates. We have warp drives. We have even whatever, everything. Um, there's numerous reports of jump rooms throughout the country.
What about the underwater stuff? Because we're hearing a lot about that. That's been around for a while. People have been talking
Yep.
about things come up out of the water. And do they have a special term for that? Because UFO wouldn't
Well,
technically
yeah,
be.
right. So they call it an unidentified submersible object.
Oh,
The
US.
objects can do, yeah, USO. So these objects do the same thing that they do in space. I mean, they're making maneuvers that are just mind blowing. And I think what they do is they seem to manipulate um, a gravitational field around them to manipulate the material, whether it be taking the energy of that material on a molecular structure and changing it so that they can glide through quicker, or actually creating a warp field around them, gravitation field that or anti-gravitational field so they can not be held back by the friction. Um, there are bases off the coast of California. There's a base. There's a bunch in the Atlantic. Where I grew up in New York City, we've seen UFOs coming out of the sky into the Hudson River and traveling up the Hudson River, and then hearing reports as far as Indian Point being the destination, which was a nuclear power facility. And they
Wow.
have reports of those things there all the time, but that's an energy source.
It's what they.
So,
I have seen quite a bit about that. That they say that the UFOs are drawn to nuclear sites.
yeah, well, there's different energy components there that are those craft can use. So they're going to utilize the whatever we have here on Earth, and um, they, they'll manipulate a reactor. They'll take energy from the reactor. They'll take wastewater. I'm not, and I'm going to say it straight up. I'm not a Galactic Federation proponent. I don't believe we have one. I don't believe there is a giant room with 500 different races or species of extraterrestrials sitting around saying, "What do we do with the Earthlings?" I just don't. I do believe we have, 400, 500 plus different species with their own interests in mind regarding Earth and us as human beings. We also have junk DNA in our body, which is a great foundation for cloning. And a lot of these extraterrestrial races have totally sterilized their own planet. It's the last of the last. So what they're trying to do is, by creating hybrids, it's, you could breed out the human in them and then eventually breed more extraterrestrials based on your species.
All very interesting and a lot to think about. And we'll have to just kind of keep our eyes and ears open and see what happens next. And the Disclosure
Definitely.
Day movie will be interesting at the very least. I think that it's going to be a blockbuster. I think that a lot of people are going to really be like, is that what's really happening? And just like you said, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that was enormous. And
Yeah.
it was not, we didn't know at the time how accurate it was, but there were already things in there that were, or that
Right.
we'd heard about.
Something interesting I heard, and I forgot where I heard it from, so I'm paraphrasing. When E.T., the extraterrestrial movie, came out and Ronald Reagan was in the White House, they requested a private viewing. So Spielberg went there, and in a room, in the private movie room, All the big players were there, all the lettered agencies, generals, even Ronald Reagan was there. They showed the movie. And I think what was going on is to see what kind of information Spielberg has, like how much of it is coming out on film,
Yeah.
that he may have known since Close Encounters. And what I found very interesting is at the end of that showing, that private showing, Ronald Reagan stood up and started. He just walked out. He didn't say anything of much, except, "Yep, you're pretty spot on
Mm,
about the creature."
mm,
And he walked
really.
out. So that tends to tell me that President Reagan was very, very versed in extraterrestrials, whether he got the information while being president or he was abducted, we'll never know. So
That's
Spielberg
so
has been
interesting. And
pretty
there's
connected,
also,
but again,
okay, he froze.
what's
Brian.
the narrative those as silicone based extraterrestrials? Yeah, I would expect it.
Yeah, very interesting. I was going to say, there's stories, UFO stories surrounding John F. Kennedy and also Richard Nixon.
Yeah, Nixon went with I forgot his
I think it was Jackie Gleason. Was
Jackie
it Jackie?
Gleason, and they saw bodies. Yep, they were really tight, and they went out and they saw bodies. Um, so a lot of these people in government know the information. Um, I just I think the trust factor on our government and any government official, whether it's the United States, Canada, the West or the East or wherever, I think people don't even trust anybody anymore enough to believe whatever's coming out of their mouths. But
And
what I do believe is we had the Arecibo message reply, and that was done in a field, a wheat field. It was done as a crop circle as well as other formats. And it was a response to when we sent out Voyager with the disc, which had, the double helix, how many planets away. We have one sun, we're the third planet from there, what our makeup is, male and female. And the reply many years later, it wasn't that far back, was a triple helix, silicone based. So there's a lot of different variables there. Um, so I'm just the easiest thing for everybody here would be for have these craft literally come down and say, "Hey, we're here," and then we'll explain it. But you may not like
that's
what you're hearing, folks.
very true. And I was going to say, as kind of a last thought, because I want to talk about your books, because you've been busy
Sure.
writing. I want to have you
Yeah.
back because our time has flown.
Yes.
It's like the
But
fastest hour of the week anyway, and our time has flown. But I was going to say that something else that I've been stumbling upon is that we a lot of times are told the truth, but things are inserted in there to make us doubt and make it convoluted. And then they can
yep.
say, we did tell you the truth, but you're supposed to sort through it and figure out what's true from what is false.
Yeah, they do that quite often. It's I got to be honest. I'm suspect about everything at this point, unless I'm physically seeing something, and even then, I've taken the variables, environmental, environmental readings, atmospheric readings, and some other stuff to really come to a conclusion whether I'm seeing something that is real or concocted in the mind, implanted, in the research. But when you meet somebody who's had a missing time or they've had an encounter, they don't need disclosure. They
Right,
know UFOs are real. I
right,
know they're real.
right.
Um, and it's just how life works. It's most of the people that are screaming for disclosure, Annette, are the ones that have been ridiculed their entire life for believing in this,
Right.
and they want an "I told you so" moment.
Right.
And that's not how we should be doing things, in my personal opinion. But as I say, you do you, boo, and
Right. I never really thought it was going to happen anyway
I'll
because
say that again. So
I
you
never
cut
really
out.
thought it was going to happen anyway, disclosure, because it's like, this is so old. Everybody's seen all this stuff. We live in an age now where people have video cameras in their pocket. There's so much out there. In my opinion, again, mine, not the stations and not Father Shawn. In my opinion,
Yeah,
if you don't believe, you just don't want to believe because there's so much out there. I'm not saying all of it is true. I'm not saying I understand what it is, but this has been going on for such a long time.
yeah. This is something a lot of people have wished for. But one of my friends, Rosemary Ellen Guiley, who is a
She,
world-renowned research and investigator of all this, yeah. Um, when she did her book on the jinn, she wrote in it, "Be careful what you wish for."
yeah,
And you don't know who's giving you that wish. I saw somebody mention, I think it's SR Jennifer, about a triangle craft that flew over Phoenix. No, I'm not trying to, it's not that things should be erased, but if you looked at when the Iranian missiles were first being, ballistic missiles were first being sent into Israel about a year plus ago, and what you guys, if you were watching the news, what you didn't recognize is there was a TR-3B triangle craft that was in the sky shooting down those ballistic missiles. And I myself, along, I was talking with my buddy Dave Scott, who is Spaced Out Radio, and he goes, "Yeah, I had his connection called him and said, watch the news tonight. You're gonna want to watch it." And there it is. I think the BBC had it, so you can go look it. It even may be on my own personal YouTube at symbol Bryan Bowden with a Y, under UFOs investigations. That video will be there. There is a TR-3B shooting craft down. That is a reverse engineered craft that we have.
wow,
So
very very cool.
yeah,
And I do want to talk about your books, and we got the time ticking away on us. And
no problem.
also, like I said, the time has gone by super fast. Great conversation, and I want to have you
I
back.
appreciate that.
Your first book
Oh,
that we,
I definitely like to. Right. Go ahead, Annette. Sorry.
what would you like? You would like to?
Oh, so I published two books recently. The first one is I wrote a short story a while ago, and I just expanded upon it because I wanted to, and I've always wanted to, called "The Beauty, the Buffalo, the Coyote's Spell." And believe it or not, I'm getting a lot of grief from some friends of mine on the some of my female friends, but it's basically a woman's empowerment book, and it teaches you not to just, don't take no for an answer. You're very powerful. You can do anything. You're a total bad. And there's a ASS word after that. But it takes place with within a Native American or an indigenous framework. There is some folklore in there, mysticism, magic. You get a little cryptid action with it. And of course, there is a love story component to it. It is a really, really great, fun book. It's not that bad. It's called The Beauty of the Buffalo, the Coyote Spell. It's on Amazon right now. And Carl, I also remember the TR-3, the Triumph. Great car, by the way. And then the next book, I've been getting grief from my friend Ronald Murphy, my brother from a different mother. We have we've been we talked about it for a while. We've been writing a book about earth mounds throughout the North American plain and their connections to angels, Nephilim, demons, extraterrestrials, and of course, giants. And what are the connections to that? And it's called Sacred Grounds with a question mark. It's a really long title. I can't get into it, but it also is on Amazon under Bryan M. Bowden. If you're looking me up, and then you also Ronald L. Murphy Jr. is the co-author to that. Ron and I would love to come back on and discuss that book and
I would
how
lo-
everything came about.
I would love to do a whole show
Anytime.
on that. That's just so
Oh yeah,
fascinating. I love your other book as well. I used
it's
to
a
read
really fun book.
I used to
Yeah.
read Lynn Andrews. I don't know if you know who that is, but she wrote a lot of Native American inspired spirituality stories, and it sounds a
I
little reminiscent of that kind of theme.
Well, part of the magic of the book is, and I'll give you the basic. There is a tribe, and there's a family called the Shining Brights, and this husband and wife are the most hideous beings in the entire tribe, and they're forced to live on the outskirts of the tribe. One night, they give birth to a new daughter who has this electricity kind of glow around her. And on the same night, their prized buffalo gives birth to the most unusual gray calf. And there is an electricity also around that animal. And these two, the calf, the gray calf, and the baby, the female, are connected spiritually and mentally, emotionally, everything.
Oh, interesting.
So if the buffalo is running and it hurts its ankle, Lightning is the name of the child, Lightning Shining Bright. She feels it and she starts hobbling. If she's in trouble, the buffalo knows and goes to help. So this is a connection. It's very magical. Um, yes, Sacred Grounds, Father Shawn. And
I'm
it's a
Father
great
Shawn in the
story.
chat room. I'm Father
Yeah.
Shawn in the chat.
I saw Father Shawn. Okay, you're Father Shawn.
I'm Father
So
Shawn in the chat. But
you're
that
it's
sounds
fine.
really, really. This is like a mystical connection between the births, and they're connected.
Right.
And I think it
And
sounds
then
like a fabulous story.
it's really not that bad. It's 160 pages. I'm pretty proud of it. I expanded on it. I gave a little bit more action in there, a little more of a romance, and some cryptozoology ends of it, along with Native American folklore. It's just it's kind of the start, and I've had plans at one point where I've done it in a way where I can arc it to another tribe, or I can go deeper into a story if people are saying yay, write another one. But I really love the story and what I dedicated to my two daughters and
Yeah.
to all the women that have come into my life in every state. And that's not just the physical state, it's in different ways. Um,
Nice.
Telling them never to forget that, you can do anything. You're strong, you're powerful, and you're total bad, and I'm not going to curse on that on air.
Nice. I love that. And
Yes.
I'm so excited when we get off of here, like tonight or tomorrow, I'll get with you and see when we can get you and your co-author to come. Um,
That would be
that you
great. I
both
think
have
he'll be fine with
availability,
that.
and we're gonna do that show talking about sacred grounds. I think that that's gonna be just marvelous and sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it's
And
a fun book. They're
we need
both
to talk
interesting.
about where people can find you.
You
Um,
can probably find me on a FEMA list, um, or camp. No, you can find me at Facebook, Bryan M. Bowden. Twitter, I believe, is Bryan M. Bowden. My YouTube channel is Bryan Bowden, BryanBowden. Please like, subscribe, share. We do a broadcast called Third Eye Live.
Third Eye Live. You broke up a little bit there,
How
but
your
he's
third
saying
eye
Third Eye Live.
intervention has led you down
Yeah,
a path. It's not just paranormal, it's everything. And We're doing it every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. And then I'm on a couple of the other social media platforms, but like Instagram. But
And
I'm just, if you have questions for me, please say, "Hey, I saw this with when you were with Annette on Father Sean," of where it was coming from.
sure,
And
excellent.
I one more thing. I think it's the 12th of June. I will be in Ocala, Florida, for the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference. So I'll be there.
Oh, fun. Ocala, right? Nice.
Yes, Ocala.
Beautiful. Um, I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. We're going to do it again soon. I'm really hoping that your co-author will join us and
He
have a
will.
good time. We'll get that set up. Also, before I go, I have to say, um, anybody, please, again, prayers and donations for Father Sean's wife, Sharon. We also want to thank UPRN Talk Radio 107.7 FM New Orleans, 105.3 FM Gulf Coast, and Joe Montaldo and the lovely and wonderful Michelle DeRoche, and encourage everybody to stay tuned for Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. And God bless you. Have a beautiful night and a beautiful weekend. Thank you for listening. We really enjoy all
Blessings.
our listeners and chatters. Thank you so much. Oh, and next week we have Jim Segala, who is from Mystery of Blind Frog Ranch, and also the first season of Skinwalker Ranch. Jim will be with us. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so
Awesome.
very much.